My mom forgot to make a plate for me at Christmas. Said there wasn't enough. But my brother's girlfriend got seconds. I didn't say a word. Just got up, took the dish I brought and left. They called me rude. I didn't make a scene, I wasn't expecting Christmas to go smoothly. I've long stopped expecting normal from my family. But this time they actually managed to surprise me. Not with generosity, not with warmth, but with something colder than the weather outside. We drove 3 hours through sleet and traffic. My boys, 7 and 9, were buzzing with excitement in the back seat, not really understanding yet that family isn't always what it's supposed to be. I had a headache before we even got there, but I kept telling myself to just get through it. A few hours, a few polite laughs, eat dinner and leave. We pulled up to the house and nobody came out to greet us. Not even a wave from the window. When we walked in, the dining room was already full. Everyone was seated like we were late, even though we were right on time. My mother gave me that quick, clipped smile that never reaches her eyes, then went back to her wine. My brother Jeff was there with his new girlfriend Lana, who he's known for about a month but apparently was now part of the family. She had a seat right next to Mom and was talking like she owned the place. Meanwhile, my boys and I were given chairs at the far end of the table. No decorations, no place cards, not even napkins. Dinner started getting passed around. My kids got plates. Everyone got plates. Then, silence. I kept waiting for mine, watching the dishes get lighter and lighter. Then Mom walked past me with a smirk and said, loud enough for the room to hear, there wasn't enough for everyone. I figured you wouldn't mind, Emily. My sons looked at me like they didn't understand. Honestly, I didn't either. I just stared at her. She didn't stop walking, just kept pouring herself another drink. I tried to stay composed. I really did. I even told myself maybe they'd forgotten something, maybe it was just a mix-up. But then Lana, in her sequin dress and fake laugh, got up and went for seconds. Seconds. My mother helped her scoop more potatoes onto her plate like this was all completely normal. And that's when I stood up. I walked to the kitchen where Lana had just set her plate down to grab a drink. I picked it up without saying a word. Walked back through the dining room. The room went quiet for a beat. My mother looked at me like, how dare you? Jeff muttered something. Lana looked confused. I didn't care. My sons stood up too, still holding their half-eaten plates. They didn't even ask. They just followed me. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't slam the door. We got in the car, I buckled them in and we drove off. The phone started buzzing 5 minutes later. Missed calls from Mom. Then a text from Jeff. Real mature, Emily. Way to ruin Christmas. I didn't respond. I didn't look back. But what they didn't know, what I realized in that exact moment, was that this wasn't just one night. It was the last night. And I wasn't going to let it go. They called me rude. But they were about to learn what rude really looks like. The drive back was quiet. My boys were in the back, whispering to each other, probably trying to figure out if we were in trouble or if something really bad had happened. I didn't speak until we got home. I made them cocoa, turned on a movie and let them fall asleep on the couch. I sat in the dark and thought. It wasn't about the plate. It was about all the plates before it. Every insult that had come with a smile. Every holiday where I was expected to bring gifts and dishes and energy and patience. And in return I got looks, gossip and silence. I'd been paying their bills for 2 years. That was the part no one ever talked about. When Dad had that heart thing and Mom stopped working, it was my card they used. Groceries, electric, gas, meds. Even some Amazon charges that had nothing to do with survival. I didn't complain. I thought it was the right thing to do. But they never thanked me. Not once. So the next morning I made 2 calls. First to the bank. I canceled the card they'd been using and moved the automatic payments to a new one. Then I texted my parents. Short, polite, final. Please don't use the card anymore. I've closed it. I'll be handling my finances privately from now on. That was it. It took exactly 43 minutes for the first call to come in. I let it ring. Then Mom left a voicemail. Not an apology. Just a drawn-out passive-aggressive rant about how confused she was and how disappointed she felt in my behavior. She mentioned Christmas dinner as if that somehow justified everything. Dad sent a text. What's going on with the card? We can't get groceries. I stared at it for a long time before deleting it. Then the second wave came. Lana. Even my aunt, who I hadn't spoken to in a year, decided to weigh in. The family group chat, the one they always forgot to include me in unless they needed something, suddenly blew up with fake concern and thinly veiled jabs. I didn't respond to a single one. Not because I didn't have words, but because they didn't deserve them. That night I sat with my boys on the floor. We ate grilled cheese and watched them build Legos, and for the first time in years I felt light. Not happy exactly, but free. I wasn't done yet. Not even close. Letting go of the card was just step 1. The real message, that was still coming. 3 days passed without a word from me. I didn't block them. I didn't respond. I just existed like they didn't. And apparently that scared them more than yelling ever could. On the 4th day, a knock came at the door. I knew it was them before I even checked. My parents never came to my house unless they wanted something. They didn't ask to see the kids. They didn't show up for birthdays. But now here they were, standing on my porch with frozen smiles and a bag of store-brand cookies. I opened the door just enough to be polite. My sons were on the couch watching. I didn't want them to hear any of this, but I also wasn't going to hide anymore. Mom started talking first, in that tone she uses when she wants to sound like everything's fine. She said they were worried about me, that they didn't understand what had happened, that I must be going through something. I told her she was right, I was going through something. Clarity. Dad stepped in, tried to act like this was just a miscommunication, said the plate thing was an accident, that they thought I had already eaten. I reminded him I drove 3 hours with 2 kids to be there and didn't even get a seat at the table. He didn't have a response. Then Mom said something that made it all snap into place. She said, "We just thought you could handle it. You've always been the strong one." That was their excuse. That was their story. I was strong, so I didn't need kindness. I didn't need food. I didn't need a single ounce of decency. And somehow in their minds that justified everything. I told them I was done. Not just with the money, with all of it. I wasn't playing the role anymore. Not the generous daughter. Not the silent scapegoat. Not the emotional punching bag who kept showing up out of obligation. I told them they weren't welcome here, and that I didn't want them around my sons until they learned how to respect their own daughter. They didn't yell. They didn't cry. They just stood there stunned. I closed the door. That night I expected to feel worse, but instead I slept better than I had in years. The next morning I found an envelope taped to my front door. No stamp. No name. Inside was a handwritten letter from my mother. 4 pages, front and back. Rambling, manipulative, sprinkled with half apologies and veiled guilt. She even mentioned how much they needed help right now, and how hard things were since I cut them off. I didn't finish it. I ripped it in half and dropped it in the trash. But the pressure wasn't over. It was only getting started. Because people like them don't give up easily. Not when they're losing something they never appreciated. The first few days after I shut them out, it was just quiet. No calls. No texts. Just this thick, unnatural silence that felt more like a setup than peace. I didn't trust it. My parents weren't the kind of people to let something go. Not when it bruised their pride. They only got quiet when they were scheming. I tried to focus on normal life. I took the boys sledding, cooked meals, cleaned out the garage, tried to shake off the heaviness. And then just when I started to believe maybe they were actually done trying, it happened. It was a Thursday afternoon. I picked up my sons from school like always. My youngest ran to me, chatting about some art project. But my oldest, the quieter one, handed me a folded note. I asked who gave it to him. He said a lady. Not a teacher. Just a lady who said she was a friend of Grandma's. The paper was a mess, like someone had crumpled it and decided last minute to smooth it out. Inside, no greeting, no signature. Just a printed screenshot of my bank statement from 2 months ago. My personal account. The one they used to have access to. Charges circled in red ink. A $146 grocery bill from their town, 3 separate pharmacy charges, a hotel booking in Cape May I never went on. At the bottom, scribbled in pen. "So you've always been keeping score?" It didn't make sense at first. Then it hit me, Jeff. A few years back, I helped him get out of a mess after his divorce. I'd walked him through my banking app, even gave him temporary login access to move money for Mom's meds. I never changed the password. It had been years. I didn't think I had to. Apparently I did. I got home, shut the blinds, locked the door, and changed every password on every account I owned. Then I called the bank and flagged the login. They confirmed there had been access from Nevada. Jeff and Lana had moved there 3 months ago. I was still trying to process the audacity of it when another twist came. That night, a delivery driver dropped off a box at my door. I hadn't ordered anything. No name on the label. Inside were 2 things. A half-used roll of duct tape and a child's stuffed bear. My son's, the one he'd lost at my parents' house last summer. No note. Just that. I called the police to report the incident. Not because of the bear, but because now it was personal. They were playing games. Creepy, calculated ones. I showed them the note, the printed bank statement, and gave them Jeff's name. They told me to install more cameras and document everything. But it wasn't over. The following night, we got back from the movies. I pulled into the driveway and stopped cold. My garage door was spray painted in red. Ungrateful bitch. The words were messy, rush, dripping. I got the boys inside and checked the security footage. It was grainy, but I could make out the outline of someone in a hoodie around midnight. They moved fast. But the car parked down the block had a very clear plate number. I didn't even need to look it up. It was Lana's. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I made hot chocolate, tucked the boys into bed, and sat in the kitchen staring out the window. That wasn't just vandalism. That was a message. And I finally understood. They weren't trying to get me back. They were trying to break me. But they'd forgotten one thing. I've spent years cleaning up their messes. Years swallowing my words, paying their bills, holding my tongue so my kids wouldn't see the worst of it. Now they were about to see who I really am. The next morning, I called a locksmith and had every lock in the house changed. I called a friend who worked in home security and had extra cameras installed, not just outside but inside too. I knew they weren't going to stop and I wasn't about to keep waiting for the next scare tactic. While the boys were at school, I took the bear, the one they'd mailed like a threat, and burned it in a metal bucket in the backyard. I didn't feel any satisfaction, just clarity. The old me would have tried to talk it out, fix things, find a middle ground. That part of me was gone. And then I started planning. I had every receipt, every charge, every withdrawal from my account they made over the last 2 years. I organized it into a PDF, page after page of what they'd cost me. I added photos, the spray paint, the creepy package, the printed bank statement. Then I sent it to every relative who'd ever gossiped behind my back, every mutual friend who still followed them on Facebook, and even to the church my mother volunteered at. Subject line: since they want to keep score, let's do it right. It took less than an hour for my phone to explode. My aunt called me in tears. She said she had no idea. A cousin sent me a screenshot of my mom's Facebook, where she posted something vague about being betrayed by blood. But the comments under it weren't what she expected. People were turning. The truth was out. But I wasn't finished. I knew the only thing that really mattered to them was money. So I contacted every company tied to my old credit card and gave them updated info. Except one. Their internet provider. I left that one out on purpose. 2 days later I got the call. Emily, we can't access our account. We need your help logging in. I didn't answer. I forwarded the voicemail to my lawyer. Then I called the landlord of their duplex. I knew the property manager. I told him calmly that my parents had been listing me as a financial guarantor without my consent. That any automatic payments on my card were over. He said he understood. He said he'd be in touch with them. That evening Jeff called. I didn't answer. Then Lana. Then finally a message from my mother, her voice low and careful. Please, Emily. We don't know what to do. For a second I almost felt it. That old guilt, the twitch to help to soften. But then I remembered that Christmas night. My son's looking at me confused. The spray paint. The bank statement handed to my kid like it was a school flyer. So I responded once. Just once. He said I was strong, remember? So be strong. Figure it out. Then I blocked every number. Changed mine the next day. I knew it wouldn't end there. People like them don't give up because you shut the door. They just start pounding louder. But the door wasn't just closed anymore. It was gone. Bricked up. They weren't coming back in. A month passed. No knocks, no packages, no threats. Not even passive-aggressive letters. Just silence. Real this time. The kind that made the air feel different. I kept waiting for another trick, another dig, another ambush. But nothing came. And that made me nervous. One night while my sons were asleep, I checked the cameras like I always did before bed. Everything looked normal until I saw it. On the sidewalk in front of the house, under the streetlight. A cardboard sign. I went out and picked it up. It read, "We're sorry. Just let us explain. Please." No names. No threats. Just that. I didn't bring it inside. I left it in the trash bin and went back to bed. A few days later, a letter showed up at my work. Not my house. My job. In it, my father apologized, the real kind. Not his usual, "I'm sorry if you were hurt" garbage. He admitted they used me. Said he didn't realize how far they'd gone until Jeff took things too far. He didn't mention the spray paint. Or the bank access. But he said Mom was not well lately, and they were desperate. Desperate. That word stuck with me. I didn't feel pity. I didn't feel anger. I just felt done. I didn't respond. But something else was bothering me. That hotel charge from months ago, the one in Cape May. I had never really looked into it, assuming it was just another shady expense they threw on my card. But now I pulled it up again. Called the hotel. Asked for the receipt. It wasn't for my parents. It was for Jeff. 2 nights, Beachview. Guest name, L. Owens. Lana. They'd used my card for a romantic weekend getaway. And it was the same weekend I had taken my boys to the urgent care for the flu. While I sat up all night with fevers and puke bowls, they were drinking cocktails on a balcony I paid for. That was the last thread. I printed everything out again. This time I mailed it. Not to family. To a few choice people. Jeff's new job. His landlord. His in-laws. Lana's parents. And I made one final stop. I walked into a local attorney's office with the whole file. Told them I wasn't looking for revenge anymore. I just wanted protection. To make sure they couldn't touch my finances again. We drafted a formal letter. A cease and desist for Jeff and another for my parents. I signed it with my full name. No apology. No explanation. When I got home that night, the boys were waiting. I didn't say much. Just hugged them both a little longer than usual. My youngest asked if Grandma and Grandpa were coming back. I told him no. And for the first time he smiled. Not because he hated them, but because he knew finally I was done letting them hurt me. Sometimes the hardest part of breaking free isn't the escape. It's realizing you could have left sooner. But now that I had, I wasn't looking back. The update. 2 months passed. Winter turned into a sluggish, wet spring. I thought the silence would bring peace. It didn't. It brought space. And space lets memory grow legs. The boys were thriving. I was doing better than I'd been in years. But somewhere under it all, I kept waiting for the next hit. That's the thing about trauma. You never really believe it's over. Then I got a letter. A real one. Postmarked from a small town in Oregon. No return address. Inside was a photograph. My parents. Standing in what looked like a church basement, behind a folding table with a hand-painted sign that read, "Community donations welcome." They looked tired. Not poor. Not homeless. But different. Humbled maybe. My mom's hair was shorter, grayer. My dad had a cast on his hand. There was no message. Just the photo. It felt too specific to be random. The postmark matched a small shelter that ran a Facebook page. I looked it up. There was a post from 2 weeks earlier. A call for volunteers. Tagged in the photo were names I didn't recognize. But one commenter caught my eye. They've been helping out every weekend. Not sure where they came from, but they keep to themselves. I stared at it for a long time. I never responded to the letter. Never tried to contact the shelter. But it stuck with me. Because if they had sent that picture and I was sure they had, it meant something had changed. Who was trying to? Then something stranger happened. One afternoon after work, I found an envelope taped to my windshield. Plain white. Inside was a check. Like, signed in my father's handwriting. No note. No threats. Just a check. A gesture. A reversal. I didn't cash it. I didn't tear it up either. I put it in a drawer with the photo. Not as keepsakes, as evidence. The past has a way of resurfacing when you least expect it. And I don't know what they're doing in Oregon, or why they're suddenly trying to show me a version of themselves I've never met. But something tells me this isn't the end. It's a pause. And the next time they reach out, if they do, I won't be the one left speechless. Because now I'm not just stronger. I'm ready.